Hi everyone, it's Jerry on chess.com, and I just got paired up playing now a 3-2 game. So, well, this is different. The Alekhine Defense. I know I'm butchering that pronunciation. But, alright, let's get some development in. I'm not going to go for this chasing around of the knight. I'm going to opt for some quick development here. Let's just break the pin. Break the pin or h6, and just break the pin. So I'm expecting an eventual e6, of course, to open up the dark square bishop. Castles or... Castles, h3, give the knight a kick. Now? I'm not sure. This pawn could be vulnerable. Let's start with this. If they put pressure on it with knight d7, maybe then I commit. Okay, no. So I have the bishop pair. Pressure on the knight. Gotta recapture. And I have rook e1 to defend this pawn. So how to really put this to use? Having the bishop pair. I could give the knight a kick. But on knight b4, I'm not sure what I would do. Because then d3 is weakened. Maybe a3 and then c4? I'd like to get my knight to this e4 square, but there's going to be some fire on this pawn really soon. Bishop e4 and f4? I don't know about that. I weaken my diagonal. Let's start with a3, preparing to kick the knight, and I have to worry about knight b4. And probably queen e2. Let's go queen e2. If it's hit again, I'll play rook e1 because I have to. And I have c4. I wonder if b4 is an idea. On b4, maybe... Well, I don't know. Knight d2? I don't have too many options. A voluntary retreat. So, knight g6, I guess, is the idea. Let's do this first. Knight g6, I back up. And also, I like the idea that even if at some point they have more pressure on this pawn, when they take it, they're in a pin, although they do have an option to take my bishop with check to get out of it. That's interesting. Probably just knight c3. This is a weak square, but they have the dark square bishop around. This knight could be misplaced. h4, h5 can be an idea. He could turn out to be out of play if I'm not careful. Like h4, h5, I don't know how great a move that is, or great an idea. Because knight e7 into f5 should be pretty good. Nothing wrong with that. Black has a perfectly healthy structure. Nice harmony between the structure and the remaining bishop. So, well, let's just get a quick move in, get the rook on a good square. With only this one open file, it's quite, it's not a far stretch to think both sets of rooks will be exchanged. I wonder, knight e4? They will take that pawn. I'm really stuck for a plan here. I'm not sure what to do. This d5 square, a bit tricky. a4, there's bishop b4. Let's make some room for my king. I don't know how great that is. Okay. Alright. If they take with the queen, maybe I could reposition my knight. This is the one moment where there isn't pressure on this pawn. So let's go in for this. Maybe knight d7. Bishop takes, pawn takes. I'll have a passed pawn, and I'll be playing with the bishop pair. f4 might be sensitive. Knight on d5, they're coordinating on f4. This is an unprotected pawn, so knight d5, c4, knight f4. I could play queen e3, hitting the knight and the a7 pawn. Ooh, that's a very mysterious move. I think I should just run right in and give the check. Or actually, let's hold off. There's no rush with that. This bishop is in a defensive position, so let's keep this aggressive position for my knight. Maybe even c5 and then knight in here, if I have enough support for it. b4, c5. I do give up this square, but when my pawn arrives on d6, it'll be a connected pass pawn. If this pawn is ever challenged, that can't be good, opening up a diagonal straight towards the king. I have two bishops pointing right at the king. Ooh. And just as I say that, they do that move. Okay. Pawn takes, I guess? Wow. This pawn is unprotected. There must be some tactical shot here. Well, maybe push. No, I don't want to give that pawn up. Maybe... Let's make a non-committal move. I'm running in reverse here with that move, but I don't want to give this square up so easily. Let's do this. Maybe break down their light squares, right? Put this unopposed bishop to work. Let his presence be felt. They're ready to win that pawn. Alright, let's give it a kick. Okay. Let's go right here, actually. The queen's unprotected. And I think that wins the game. I was ready to play to d3. I'm glad I thought of moving one additional rank. Yeah, I'm going to win this pawn now. There's no knight f4 I take. I have some concern, though, of a position where I'm up a pawn, but it may be opposite color bishops. But I have a safe king. And okay. Take with the knight first, and let's recapture with the bishop. And maybe continue pushing. Yeah, let's still crack open the light squares. Remove this pawn. Pawn push, I advance. Let's still take with the bishop. Queen check incoming. Let's throw a check. Oh, I didn't see that move. Let's keep the queen on board. Less than 10 seconds. Yeah, tough to get this guy working. I don't know if my queen and bishop alone are enough to really cause him a problem. The queen might be a very good defender. Okay. I think I have to take him out. So, okay, here's the plan. I'm going to reroute my bishop to, I guess, e4, actually. And if I could pick up this pawn, opposite color bishop ending, maybe not such a big deal. Yeah, let's go here. There's no back rank mates. Just trying to get bishop e4 on the longest diagonal. And I will think about picking up this pawn. I'm going to take this guy, actually. I don't want that pawn to be a thorn. I know these are very ugly pawns, but... yeah, let's avoid the queen exchange. Or I could have gone in for that. I don't know. Let's grab the pawn. I almost lost on time. How didn't I lose on time, actually, with that move? That was way too close. Okay. And let's come right here. Queen h2. There's just a couple checks. I got queen c6 mate as a threat. How do they defend that? Let's see. Ooh. Wow. They lost on time. That's usually the screen that I see. Yikes. I probably should have lost on time. I saw the one... After that one move, I think it read 2.0. Wow. Okay. Yeah, let me, before I dive in with Stockfish on this one, I wonder about this position right here, this middle game position. I don't know that I'm really any better at this point here. I spent some time here and I'm just, I don't know. It's an improving move, h3, but you know, if I could take 2 turns in a row, I don't even know what my next move would be. You know, it's easy to see what my reply is going to be here, just recapturing. But if black maintained the tension and say, well, I don't know, made a king move, I'm not sure what I would do here. This is because, as mentioned, this is a really good structure. Nothing wrong with black structure. They have a nice grip over d5. I think I could have played better. I don't think that this is a good position, really. It's not worse, but I don't know if there's a significant advantage for white here. So we'll see where there's a suggestion. Maybe I should have inserted c4 first. I don't know. Well, I had to react a little bit to this pawn. I don't know. When they lashed out with f6, the plan started to be clear. Well, there were targets with e6, but I think they're in a tough spot here because how do they make progress? This earlier mentioned idea of knight e7 into f5, that's out. I've controlled the d5 square. We'll see where the suggestions are for both sides. I'm not quite sure. I think I got to a position that wasn't really favorable, but we'll check it out and see what Stockfish has to say on this one. Okay, let's see where there's an improvement here to this opening. I don't like going for the 4 pawns attack, c4 and then f4. It's not bad, but it's not really my style. Your center's going to come under some heavy fire. I'm not really too familiar with this opening. But let's see if we could take something away from this. It's suggesting a capture on d6. This is the first moment where it suggests a capture on d6, correct? Bishop e2, there isn't a problem. In c6. c4 is popping up, so c4, capturing on d6. Well, here's one thing. Capturing on d6, I mean, what ended up happening in the game? There was some fire placed on the e5 pawn, and I was having to defend. Many of my moves were reactions to the pressure on e5, right? Queen e2 to defend the pawn, rook to e1, eventually bishop f4, anticipating knight g6. So my opponent was giving quite a bit of direction to my play, to my moves, due to the pressure on e5. Just trying to reason out like some of the differences, maintaining a pawn on e5 or capturing on d6. Okay, so let's actually carry this out just for a few more moves. It suggests the capture with then h3 or even c4. So, okay, playing within this structure. h3 takes. I think most human players would maintain the tension, though. Let's say c4, knight b6. This seems like a pretty common move, though. I know the computer's suggesting knight b6, but suppose knight f6. They have queen b3, queen b3, queen b6, queen e3. Oh, it's really getting computerish, huh? Bishop e7, g4. Yikes. Knight c3. I'm not really a big fan of this type of weakening to the king's side, but okay, well, it's another structure to certainly be familiar with. The capture on d6, and you don't have to. Well, I won't be tethered to the defense of the e5 pawn. Okay, I'm already liking that idea. Just so I could go with a smoother development, and yeah, there isn't that target. I don't have to babysit the e5 pawn. All right, I castled, chop, chop, playing with the bishop pair. So this is another direction to go in, and they want to go c4 right away. This was my fear, c4, knight b4, and some invasion on these squares. I saw the queen exchange. I know I could kick the king around, but doesn't this kind of peter out? Isn't that a fine home? Has a pawn advantage, playing with the bishop pair. I guess this is no longer an issue, huh? Okay, so I guess I have the advantage due to this pawn and bishop pair. I don't know how great a strength this pawn on e5 is, to be perfectly honest. Bishop e7. Let's just take it out a few more. The knight gets a kick. Ooh, knight c2. I don't see many human players playing that. I think there'd be a great fear of it being trapped. Computer must have something timely. Rook b1, rook d8. Capture, capture. Okay, so he could run away just in time. But bishop e4, hitting the knight, grabbing on h7. Interesting. Yeah, I did see that I could go in for the queen exchange, but I guess I was too fearful of a knight c2 move, but the simple knight c3 development, and it's just a one-move threat when it does hit knight c2. Okay, so I could have played c4. I could have saved myself some time, a tempo, not played a3. And it would have been a completely different ball game, right? Playing an endgame all of a sudden. Or, I don't know what you would call it, maybe a queenless middle game. But anyhow, the queens would be off. Played a3, queen e2. Yeah, so I have some defensive duties now. I didn't even consider, it popped up for a moment, b3, I guess with bishop b2 as the idea. I didn't even consider that. Knight d2 is another move. Oh, I didn't even consider this one either. I played bishop here and then back. Knight d2 and on knight g6 there's knight c4. And suppose b5? Knight d6 going in for a sack, huh? Yeah, computerness. Bishop pair. Yeah. Computer has no fear of giving up a pawn, but I'd be a little bit concerned. Not really the type to invest some material. But okay, different ideas present that I didn't even consider here. A knight on c4, a bishop on b2. It's pretty locked into bishop f4. Okay. Not much of an advantage, really. Knight c3. Doesn't like rook there. Bishop h5. Ugh. Yeah, I didn't like this position already, and bishop h5, I'm not really a fan of that. I mean, what is it doing? I would never really want to even take the knight. It just helps out the rook on the h file. Yeah, so probably c4 earlier instead of a3 are the different ideas I would probably employ in a future game. c4 at this point. After e6, c4 at this point, or playing the position where I don't even have the e5 pawn, just capturing on d6. So once I'm here, I'm not a fan of the white side at all. Not worse, but it's tough to really suggest good moves here. Knight e4. Knight e4, I thought I could take here. Knight d2. Could take here with check. I guess the queen is coming under some fire, huh? Bishop d6, rook takes, queen e5. Yeah, that's a pretty interesting variation there. Okay. Useful move, flight square. Rooks are off now. Yeah, still pretty even. Yeah, this was a mysterious move. Queen to f8. Tough to wrap my head around that move. Suggests knight d7. Yeah, tough game here. Okay, that's a game loser. The f5 advance. +2 now. Let's see how I could have followed up better. It's calling for c5. c5, knight d5. On bishop takes, I guess I just capture and then crash through on e6 +3. Oh yeah. These bishops are monsters. Takes, and you can't block because that's mate. So what would happen? Queen takes pawn, king here, queen f6, and okay, just cleaning house. Okay, I retreated. Not the best. And then b4. It likes the b4 move, okay. And then c5. And then fortunately I did see that queen c4 move. I didn't calculate this c4 knight here. I was thinking about playing queen to d3. but the most forward move, queen c4, and that's going to be it. Queen's in a pin. Was the advantage ever lost from here? Just have a close eye on the evaluation, looking for any big shifts. I don't think so. It likes queen g8. The only thing I have to be a little bit concerned about, as mentioned, is the opposite color bishop ending. I mean, it is an opposite color bishop ending, but not a true one, where it's just those pieces. Still the queen's on board. Yeah, takes. I'm a little bit curious about this ending. I played queen c4, and right around here I think I was really close to losing on time, but I wonder about this ending here. Something certainly lost. Yeah, I mean, it's still tricky. I have two passed pawns in the rook pawns. These f pawns and the e pawn negate one another, so I'm just kind of visualizing this where it's just an h pawn, a, b, h versus a. And actually, here's another thing. I don't have this bishop. He can sacrifice himself for one of these two. Yeah, like something like this I have to be careful of. This takes, and if this king gets over here really quick, the bishop can sacrifice himself. Or no, yeah, that's still not the exact case, because these pawns will still play a role. Initially, it seems like they cancel out one another, but with this idea of one day sacrificing the bishop for the a pawn, and me not having the correct color rook pawn to escort, me not having the correct color bishop to successfully escort this pawn to promotion, these will play a role, and sacrificing the bishop for that pawn, you can't do it so quickly now. I guess it still is the correct idea to maintain the queens on the board. To really highlight the fact that black has the more vulnerable king. So just from that general principle, this having the safer king. I know this isn't a very happy looking structure for the white king, but it's certainly better than black, who has no pawns around. So queen c4, take now. All right. And, well, at this final position they lost on time, but what would have been good? Queen g5, king h1, I would have probably played here. I guess it's still a fight. Ooh, this is getting into a queen exchange. And I'm not sure how to trust the evaluation, to be perfectly honest. I know it's saying about a pawn and a half with queen b5. But, I don't know. It could turn out where it's a holdable... it's holdable to a draw. I can't be certain on that. It likes king h1 with a +2 advantage, keeping the queens on board. Queen b5, queen d4, king c7, and then picking up the a pawn. Yeah, I have to be a little careful of queen f1 mate, but yeah, they lost on time in this position here. It would have been certainly interesting if the game still went on here, but yeah, some things that I'm taking away are just these different ideas regarding the structure, playing within a different structure here. To capture on d6, it'd be good to get some games under my belt out of this structure, get some experience with it. And also going straight in for one of my favorites, the queen exchange, and not having so much fear of knight c2. It's easily parried with a developing move. I'm not inconvenienced at all. And I'm playing this position with the bishop pair, and yeah, this knight could maybe be sidelined even at some point. If he's ever kicked and going back here, I don't know, just make a passing move. If he ever goes in this direction, this could be quite uncomfortable for the knight. But yeah, the two things, playing within a different structure and going in for this queen exchange idea, are things to note, for me at least. But anyhow, as usual, feel free to leave any comments in the comments section below to this video, and I hope you got something out of it. That's all for now. Take care. Bye.